As an adult male, you have no business having a crush. Because if you are being honest to yourself, you are not actually in love, you are just stuck. And the earlier you admit it, the better it is for you. While you were still a teenager, having a crush had its place. It was your way of trying to understand the things you like, the things you don't like. And that was valid. But the moment you move into adulthood, having a crush no longer serves you. I know you agree with me that it does not serve you, but somewhere in your mind, you also think that as much as it does not give any advantage, it also does not give any disadvantage. It's just something neutral, but that's not true. Having a crush is costing you more than you actually think, and it's something you need to stop today. Now, let me make it very clear it is normal to catch feelings. Both males and females can develop emotions towards someone, and that is just fine. But for you as a male, it becomes different when you just nurse their feelings with no intention of acting on them. That is where the problem comes. The reason why this is different from when a female has a crush is because we live in a culture where you as the male do the initiation. So if you want something, you have identified what you want. What is the reason why you are not going for what you want? The moment you begin to catch feelings for someone, there are only two options. You either ask the person out or you move on. This middle ground is where having a crush is, and it is not an option for you. Now, this is not just me trying to impose my values upon you. There are 5 serious reasons why you must stop having a crush today. The first one is it drains your emotional and mental bandwidth. The idea of a crush, just like we said, is like you have feelings for someone and you are not seeing it. You are thinking about her. You are imagining what it's like. You are sometimes thinking of you guys having a future together, although you know it's something that will never happen, but it occupies your mind. And this energy you're using to do that does not come from nowhere. You are exerting your mental bandwidth, you're exerting your emotional bandwidth. Then you go into your everyday life feeling drained. The energy is supposed to put into more productive activities. And even if that productive activity is chasing a relationship, you don't have it anymore because they have all been depleted. The second way having a crush is costing you is that it tilts your perception of yourself. Over the years of you having a crush and not acting upon it, you begin to see yourself as someone who can have a desire and not go for it. And it will affect other areas of your life as well. Because how we approach one thing is how we approach everything, whether you choose to admit it or not. If you are lazy in little things, you are lazy in big things. If you don't see yourself as a go-getter in little things, you are not a good go-getter in big things as well. So if you can make peace with the fact that I want this person, but I will just keep that desire within myself. I will not go for what I want. And I will not discard it too. I will just keep fantasizing the idea that I want it. Your perception of yourself is going to change and to begin to show up in other areas of your life. The third way having a crush is costing you is that you begin to idealize the woman. Now, the way human interactions work normally is that when you have an attraction towards someone, you go close to them, you get to know them, you get to see them for who they are. And when you go close to her, you might even discover that she is not so much of a sweet person. Or even if she's a sweet person, you see her for who she is. You see her strength, you see her flaws. But when you don't take any action and just stay in your house and keep thinking about her, all you think of is the fantasies, the beauty, the day you saw her lips, the day you saw her eyes, the way you saw her talk in a sweet way. You never see her angry side, you never see her dirty side, and you just have an idealized version of of that lady. The way this becomes harmful is that you now put that as a standard of what an ideal woman should look like, although it's just an idealized version of someone that does not really exist. And in your day-to-day interaction, you begin to compare the girls that you meet to this girl. You know, this girl is not as sweet as this girl that I picture in my head. Because of that, you don't have enough motivation to chase the actual women in your life because you now have an idealized version of someone that never exists, of what perfection should look like. And that is costing your relationships. The fourth way having a crush is costing you is that you learn to be passive emotionally. You know, earlier I talked about how your perception of yourself is going to change and you no longer see yourself as a go-getter. But now I'm streamlining this to the emotional experience that you can have something you desire. It makes sense to you in your mind, but for some reason you just do not act. When you finally get into a relationship, you begin to see yourself having a desire towards the one you're dating. And because you have learned to not act on those desires, this begin to cost you your relationship. You begin to get complaints like, why didn't you call me? And you feel, I wanted to call you, but I don't know why. You just will not be able to explain why why you are not doing the things that you want to do. You will learn to be passive emotionally. The fifth one is that if you eventually take action and ask that girl out because you have spent a long time just daydreaming about her. Remember, there are only two options when you like a girl. Either ask her out and she say yes or no, or number two, you move on. So in asking her out, there's the possibility she will say no. So if this possibility happens now, because you have spent so much time and emotional and mental energy just dreaming about her, you are going to experience very serious heartbreak, because the level to which we experience heartbreak is how much investment that we have put in. Now, you who have not even started dating the girl, you have already put in so much investment, although mental and emotional. So now that we have established that the other option, if you have decided that you are not acting out, is to move on, how exactly do you move on? How do you kill your crush for someone that you like? Number one is that you reduce rumination. The whole idea of the crush and why you are still holding on to it is because you are thinking about her in your mind. You go on her social media, you look at, I'm going to the next point already. You go on her social media, you look at her pictures, and you keep the thought of her in your mind. Everybody you think about for so long, you are going to like them. Number two, you have to create space, both online and physically. So you intentionally reduce the amount of contact you have with her, because the more contact you have with someone, the more emotional affinity you have, the more you develop a softer side towards them and you continue to like them. The third one, you have to see her as a full, flawed, ordinary person. Many times you are finding it difficult to break this crush that you have on someone because, like I said earlier, you have idealized her, you have seen her as a perfect, flawless person, but that is not true. She's as ordinary as you are. She's as ordinary as your sister. She's as ordinary as the girls you do not like. She farts. She has bad characters. There are some people in her life who see her as, what kind of girl is this? There are some people in her life who see her as very annoying, someone that they don't want to be around. She's a villain in someone's story. I'm just saying all of this not for you to see her as a bad person, but for you to see her as an ordinary person who has good size and bad size, and that will help you in taking her out of your mind. Now, number four, this is similar to the second one. You have to intentionally cut off information channels. Those places where you go to get more information about her, to feed your mind, trying to think about her and to feed the rumination loop. You have to intentionally cut off those communication channels and stop the fantasy that you are building consciously. The last one is that you intentionally break all emotional anchors. Those things that, those songs that you listen to, those books that you read, those places that you go to that spark the feeling of you liking this person, even though it never happens. Maybe there's one song you saw her listening to one day, and since then you have now tied some emotional value to that song. Every time you're listening to it, you're thinking about her. You must intentionally cut off those songs. Those poems that you read, if you read poems that remind you of her, that give you the idea of her, everything that has formed an emotional anchor between you and her, you cut it off. And when you do this, that crush is going to die. That crush is going to die. Like I started this video with, having a crush which is nursing feelings for someone without acting on it, it is not neutral. It is not benefiting you. Instead, it is costing you, and you must stop it today.